just close enough to be near each other, but just far enough not to be doing any wrong, and that she wasn't going to do that. And then they sat down in the Bluebird, and they performed a song they'd done long ago called "No One Will Ever Love You Like I Do." And it wasn't just a beautiful song. It was a song that changed the character arc of the show. Whatever happened got too close because they were singing, and so they couldn't go on in the way they had before in that old charade. That's kind of rare in a story, that a song can change you, but I see it every day in Nashville. I see songs change people's lives on a dime. I sat in the Bluebird, very first time I was in the Bluebird, and I watched the writers' round.
At least you could get in. Are you trying to get in the Bluebird?
No,
I can't get it.
Yeah, sorry about that. One of the first times I was there, Shane McAnally, I was on stage with him just the other night here. How great is he? And Luke Laird was there, also another producer, and they were talking about this album they were cutting on this female artist, and they brought her out and said, "We're cutting an album right now, and some great songs, and she's a great artist. This is Casey Musgraves." And I'm just clapping, playing. Okay, none of us have heard of her. And they sat right there in the Bluebird, and they played the songs from that album that over the last 3-4 years has changed country music. And I said, it later occurred to me, I go, that's so weird. That's the story that we're telling, that it can all happen like that. I have a buddy, Chris Jansen, who I was friends with him, and he wrote "Buy Me a Boat." And Chris Jansen's story. I'm sorry, I'm going off.
No, this is great. I love this. I can just sit here. Watch over me. I have to go. I'm a box set freak, so I've got the first series. I'll do 3 series on box sets. So I'll go back and I'm going to watch them again now with renewed eyes. And
Please.
And I'll be telling my wife, well, Charles said to me, my friend Charles, I call him, Chuck. It's Chip. This Chuck Chip. He was a Klingon. I just, we're best buddies now. And so as a result, because it's been wonderful listening to you describe things. Anyway, you were saying.
That's right, Chris Jansen. He came to town and with just a whole lot of talent and just all skin and bones and a guitar, and he got up on stage at Tootsie's, which we talk about on the show if you've ever seen them. And he would be up there night after night, and he lived in his car in the alley behind Tootsie's. And one night he played a little harmonica, and he noticed his tips went up a little bit. So the next night he played a little more harmonica, and he would sit in his car just practicing. That's how he started. And he wrote all this great music, and his "Buy Me a Boat" just blew up recently. And just the other night I saw on Twitter, he was opening, and he was opening for Blake Shelton at their O2 Arena. I was at the Bridgestone Arena there in Nashville, which is literally across the street from the honky-tonk that he made his bones in, and that he worked so hard to become the entertainer that he was in the middle of that arena. I said, there it is again. That's why we're making a show called Nashville.
That's fantastic, Charles. Thank you.